it's the representatives of the. Oh no, it's not the last submission. Oh yes, it is. It is. They're all joined up. So is the Atlas Body Corporation, Richard Ball and Mark Derbyshire, speaking on behalf of a number of people who have submitted, and I think there will be members of the group joining in as well. I'm not. No? Okay, right. We'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Kia ora tātou katoa. It's nice to be back so soon. And yeah, I'm not talking...
That's the deal on the suit. So
I did. Yes, I was, for those who don't know, I was here presenting on the Performing Arts Precinct on Friday, which is what we've just been hearing about now. And so I was challenged to wear a different suit. The local residents would know that's an easy challenge for me. So I'm the new chair of the body corporate this year, and Richard was the chair last year, and we've both been on the committee for a few years. So I'm going to let Richard do most of the talking today, but from me, I guess just a really big thank you, because he has put in a lot of work on this rubbish rates issue over the last couple of years, sort of pulling together all of the information and trying to work out what's possible and, you know, make some of those the relationships that we needed to move forward on this. Yeah, I'll hand over to Richard.
Well, thanks, Mark. Kia ora koutou, everybody. This is actually the third year in a row that I've presented to the council. The first year was on a completely different topic. But somebody pointed out after last year that both those first two occasions I was wearing the same shirt. So I'm not quite as dapper as Mark, and I bought a new shirt just for the occasion. Cool. Some of you may remember this from last year and what it was about. But very quickly, just in case the shirt's confusing you, the Atlas Quarter is a 113 unit development in Wells Street in the central city. There's 110 residential and 3 commercial units. And the issue, if I can click that, does that work? All right, let's try onto page down.
It's just in the wrong place, I think.
Sorry, okay, let's try that. So the issue for us is this is what we have for our solid waste, our rubbish and recycling. And it serves all 113 units. We pay for it ourselves. And because we pay for it ourselves, it actually provides a really strong incentive for us to minimise our waste, make sure it's sorted, and the less we produce, the less bins we have to pay for. So it works well, and it provides all the same streams as the council system. Across the road, these are our neighbours. There's about 7 in that apartment block, and they use the council system, and it works quite well for them. The issue is that we also pay for that. We pay about $35,000 a year, something like that, for the 3-bin system, but it just doesn't work for us. And if we do that, that's what it would look like for us, and that's just the red bins. So if you put the green bins there, you'd literally have to close the street once a week to empty the rubbish. So when we appeared last year, there's quite a gap in terms of our expectation and what's come out in the proposal. So when we appeared last year, what we asked for is an effective opt-out system from the 1st of July 2021. What the proposal or the decision on that was that it was inadmissible, I think, because it had to be bylaw changes and things for that to occur. We're disappointed by that, obviously, but we took heart because we felt that we were heard by the council, and you instructed the staff to look at it for this year's annual plan. So we thought, okay, we have to wait another year. That's disappointing, but never mind. What the proposal is offering is, first of all, it's only a partial opt-out, so we'd still pay for all those red bins that you saw on the previous slide. The second thing that I understand in terms of the implementation is it wouldn't actually take effect for another year. So we would be paying for all 3 bins for the following year, and I'll explain that a little bit more again shortly. And there's no opt-out for the red bins. So that's about 40% of the cost, and we'll keep paying that indefinitely. until the council staff have come up with something and it's amended. So what we're asking for this year is we want that opt-out to apply to all 3 bins from the 1st of July 2022, and that may require some sort of other measure, such as a rebate system as an interim measure. And I suspect that is actually what many of you thought you were signing up to with the annual plan when you signed it off. I could be wrong on that, but I suspect that might be the case. Yep.
Let's turn my microphone on. We're all nodding away here.
Kia ora. So, just in terms of what the current proposal means in practice, as I said, we're going to pay for all the bins until next year. And the reason for that is, if it was approved, then staff would develop criteria. We would have to then meet those criteria, and the opt-out would actually then go into the rates for the following year. So that's the implementation bit around that. So that's why we are asking for a rebate system as an interim measure to allow us to stop paying for the next year. And it's about $300 per unit that we think we would be paying. Under the current proposal, I think it's about 196 is the targeted rate, and then there's about another 40% for the red bins. The second issue is that we pay for the red bins indefinitely. There's no particular end in sight, and this was first raised with the council in 2015. We raised it with the council in 2020. We submitted last year. Under the proposal, we'd still keep paying until 2023, 8 years after it was first raised. And for the red bins, there's still no end in sight. So it's just going on and on from our perspective, and we keep paying in the meantime. So in the short term, we see a solution to it as including the red bins in that opt-out proposal. And in the next year, you can work through the issues needed to include the red bins in with a targeted rate. And that wouldn't have any significant impact on other ratepayers and the wealth distribution issue, which was given as the reason why it wasn't included this year. And quite aside from, I guess, the financial impact for us, we just see it as bad policy in its current format. It's not transparent. I had to ask 3 times in the end an official information request to find out how much we were paying. And I also thank Jake for providing that information as well. So it doesn't tell us how much we would be paying for the cost of the red bins. It does talk about the 196 for the targeted rate, but not the full cost. We don't think it's fair if we're continuing to have to pay while your staff thinks more. It's not consistent. I cannot understand why you would have a separate rating system for red bins versus your yellow and green bins. It doesn't support the council objectives of higher densities or for the central city living. So it's inconsistent for those because we're having to pay extra for making that choice. It doesn't promote waste minimisation because we're subsidising it for the people who do need to use the red bins. And it leaves that issue of the wealth distribution unresolved. So it just leaves it sitting there with no resolution to it. So again, in the short term, we think that rebate next year include the red bins in the opt-out if that's not possible immediately. And if that wealth distribution is an issue, then put the same, change the basis of your targeted rate to be capital value. And then that issue goes away. You can move funds between them and it won't have any effect. So, you know, if that's the issue, then please do that. So, essentially, our message is, please stop charging us. Include the opt-out from the 1st of July 2022. And at the risk of a bit of a low blow at staff, it's easy to keep kick the can down the road, when you're not paying. So if your staff tell you again this isn't possible, take it out of their salaries and then stand back and count the minutes until they come up with a solution. So I'll leave it there. As I, we're clearly pretty frustrated, but we have felt heard, and we thank you for that. We look forward to your decision and happy to answer any questions.
It's just a degree of frustration. I think everyone agrees that there was a view that we were going to address it this time round. So, but I just went back and looked at the briefing note, and it did say, I think we felt that it would go further than what it has done. But there was a question of opt-out first and then the next step. So I can see how that's happened. But I think that we've got some very targeted questions now to put to staff. I will say that staff probably live there as well, so I think everyone's got skin in the game. And I mean, it has been an issue that has been raised, well, more than the last year. It's been raised for a few years now, and we do need to bring it to a head one way or the other.
I think it'd also be good to make sure the finished solution doesn't put too much burden on the body corporate, because I've been quite involved in drafting comms and to try and encourage people to sort their rubbish correctly. And so the current proposal talks about needing a waste minimisation strategy, which to me sounds like a lot of work as an unpaid volunteer. So I think it'd be really good if the council can support us with those materials, or our private supplier supports us with those materials, rather than us putting a lot of work into the minimisation plan.
Yeah, no, that's very good. I've got Sam and then Tim.
Yeah, it's probably more for Lynn, just something to take off, or Sam to take offline, is why can't we in the interim just have the body corporate bill the council? So just make it a once, and then you work out with your residents how to sort it out. Like, we should make it as easy as we can until we get sorted. So it'd be good to get some advice on that.
Yep.
Take a note.
That's a good one. Tim?
Compliments on the shirt. Caroline to come back, so thank you very much.
Yeah, Sarah?
Thanks. Given the look at the different profiles with the numbers of bins on the pavement and those kind of things, did you have an idea, because you'll know much better than I do about the number of the residential more intensive living areas in the city, do you have an idea of where the cut-off should be, if you like how many dwellings within a block for the cut-off for use of this?
So
given across the road seemed to make sense still with the smaller bins, that kind of thing, but whereas Atlas Quarter clearly needs a more sustainable option.
Yeah, the thing across the road is that they have plenty of space there,
Right.
and it works for them. So I don't have a particular view as to how many apartments have it. I think it actually often comes down to a practical thing about what was the design intended. And ours was clearly not intended for those bins. It was intended to have those two rubbish rooms. So, I think there's just a degree of practicality around where that cut-off is.
And do you think we should be incorporating standards into those sort of new developments that encourage that more than,
Yeah, I mean, the advantage is that it provides that really clear incentive to minimise your waste as a body corporate.
Yeah.
And that's hard to achieve with rates.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we might find that there's a slightly more novel way of resolving this than just the straight up solution that that you're proposing, and the model that the draft proposes. So we're going to keep looking at it. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.
To come in and make the submission.
Thank you.
Thank
Kia
you.
ora.
Honestly, it just is so